Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Anne and you're watching Key Lime Ink. Today we're going to talk about Vinci Watercolors. So grab a cup of tea, this is going to take a while. As per usual, I will put links in the description to everything I talk about today in case you'd like to grab something for yourself or a gift for someone else. So first of all, let's talk about pros and cons. I'm going to move these pretty little tubes over here. And pros, first of all, made in Southern California by a small family business, which has been making paint for 3 generations. That is always something that I would like to support. I love supporting small business owners. I love supporting small paint makers. So Vinci is great because they're a big enough brand that you can get them at places like Blick. But on the other hand, they're small enough that they are a family business. You go on your website and you'll see, the owners are actually the ones pouring the paint into the pans. So that makes me happy. Second of all, they are all, except for one color, vegan. The only color in their watercolor range that is not vegan is ivory black. Everything else checks out. So that's a plus. Also, they are ridiculously highly pigmented. A little bit goes a very long way. And what's best for me is that they stay true in mixes. A lot of times with student grade paints, you'll have so many extra fillers that first of all, the paint goes away faster. You use it up so much more quickly. But also as you're mixing, those colors tend to dull really quickly when you mix them together. Whereas with Vinci, they remain bright and vibrant. It has been a learning curve for me to start using these because I really am used to a lot of those student grade where I kind of have to work to get enough pigment to get the boldness and the vibrance that I want when I paint. And Vinci, all you have to do is barely touch the brush. That's it. Just barely touch the brush to the paint and you're getting such a high payout. So very, very vibrant paints. Also, the light fast ratings appear to be accurate. That's a huge plus for me. And then finally, they are relatively affordable. And again, I say relatively because I know this differs for everyone. But when you compare them to other professional grade paints, they are very affordable, especially their great big tubes. I have like the 15 milliliter tubes, but they sell tubes that are even bigger. So if you paint pretty large size watercolors, this might be an economical way for you to go. Cons, there's one major con that stands out to me, but there is a tendency for sheen at the full mass tone. And the full mass tone is where you are barely putting any water with that paint. You're almost using it like a gouache or an acrylic. And if you do that with these paints, they tend to turn out shiny. They dry shiny. So you want to go easy on these. Like I said, they're so highly pigmented. You don't need very much. Take the time to kind of paint them off on your mixing tray. Build up those layers gradually. It can also be because they have a lot of gum arabic in them as their binder, and that can result in that sheen. Just want you to be aware of it. Don't go full mass tone all the time on these paints. Use them carefully. They'll also last a lot longer that way. All right, so lots of pros, one con. Let's look at some swatches. So I have 35 colors of Vinci. Let's go through them here. And I'm going to show you, let's see if we can get this all in the frame and a little bit more close up for you. So I am going to show you these swatched out in my Leuchtturm 1917 journal, first of all, because I usually paint in my journals and my planners. And if you're watching my channel, if you subscribe to my channel, hello, it's nice to see you again. You are probably a journal aficionado too. So I wanted to show you how these paints look in a very typical bullet journal, commonplace book, diary, that kind of thing. So this is a Leuchtturm 1917 80 GSM, okay? And I will, after this, show you the paints on regular watercolor paper. So here we have titanium opaque white. I try to stick try to stay away from opaque paints, but it's always handy to have an opaque white. I know that you're not supposed to paint with white in traditional watercolor rules, but it can be really helpful, especially if I have taken a long time to paint a lovely animal and I just want to add a couple little quick catch lights in its eyes. That is something that is really simple to do with a tiny little dot of opaque white. So I'm good with that. I do not use opaque white to mix pastels. I just water down the original colors. So depends on how you use it, but it's there. There is one, and it's PW6. This is Rose Madder Quinacridone, PV19, PR88. Permanent Rose Quinacridone, PV19. Those two colors are very, very similar. The Permanent Rose is, I'm going to say, a tiny bit warmer, and the Rose Madder is a tiny bit cooler. Alizarin Crimson Quinacridone, PV19. Typical Alizarin Crimson is not light fast. It's a very fugitive color, but Da Vinci has made theirs with PV19, and everything that I have read, different people's reviews say that this is about as close to the original Alizarin Crimson as you can get and still have it be light fast. So it's a very, very pretty cherry red. We have Perlin Maroon, PR179. We have Da Vinci Red, which is Fire Engine Red, PR254. Quinacridone Red, PR209. I like to call this one Watermelon. Benzimita Orange Deep, PO36. Hansa Yellow Deep, PY65. Nickel Azo Yellow, PY150. That's one that Kim Crick has put on her top master list of absolute favorite pigments. Da Vinci Yellow, PY154. And what I love about this is that it's really hard to find a good quality, professional grade lemon yellow, which is transparent and light fast. And Da Vinci Yellow meets all those qualifications. PY154. We have Green Gold, kind of a chartreuse color, PY129. Sap Green, PG7 and PY42. I like that their sap green only takes 2 pigments. Sometimes you will see sap greens with up to 5. It's more typical to see 3 or 4. So I love that they only needed 2 pigments to get this beautiful color. There are many other botanical-oriented greens in Da Vinci's line. Some of the others are Denise's green from Denise Stjoden. I'm probably pronouncing her name completely wrong. She is a fantastic YouTuber who does a lot of wildlife painting. And this is her green, Denise's green. It's PY129 and PB60. Joyce's Mother Green, PG7, PBR7, and PY42. Denise's green is kind of, it's a little bit warmer. Joyce's Mother Green is a little bit cooler. Okay, then we have Hooker's Green Light, PG7 and PY42. Really good for evergreens. Perlin Green, PBK31. That's actually a black, but it has a green tone to it. It is so beautiful. I love this color, again, for evergreens, especially like those misty mountain forests. That Perlin Green is amazing for that. Phthalo Green, PG7. Sea Glass. This is PB154 and PG7. And it is just absolutely beautiful. It glows. It has like a really pretty teal color. It's transparent or semi-transparent. It's just absolutely beautiful. Charlie O Blue, I did not actually choose. Da Vinci sent me Charlie O Blue. Thank you for sending it to me. But I don't use opaque paints, like I said, other than once in a blue moon, a little dot of white. So for me, Charlie O Blue is not a good choice, but if you like painting with opaques, you might really like it. It's a very pretty color. It's just a little too heavy for me. It's PB154, PG6, and then they've added PW6, so it's basically the sea glass with white added. Then you have Phthalo Turquoise, which is a nice, clean, beautiful turquoise, PB16. Phthalo Blue Red Shade, PB15. Ultramarine Blue Green Shade, PB29. And this is a very, I think it's a subtle ultramarine, which I like. So ultramarine can kind of be, depending on the brand, if it's professional and it's really good quality, it should be subtle. If you see an ultramarine that's just packing a really powerful punch, in my experience, that usually means that it's like more student grade and they might have some dye involved. I think this is a beautiful ultramarine. This is Indanthrene Blue PB60. I think that it is a good choice when you don't want to use Prussian blue, because Prussian blue is known to fade out when it's in the sun, and then sometimes it'll come back when you bring it out of the sun. Other times that fade will be permanent. So I try to stay away from Prussian blue, even though I like the color. So if I want that deeper, darker blue, I prefer Indanthrene. And this PB60 is beautiful. We have Ultramarine Violet, PV15. Absolutely beautiful, subtle purple. Granulating. We have Mauve, PV19 and PB29. Just a really pretty purple. And this actually has a little bit of color separation in it, so it's a little bit like Roman Schmal's Mineral Violet. I really like this one. Permanent Magenta, PV19 and PB29 again. Quin Violet, PV19. Great mixing violet because it's single pigment. We have Violet Red Oxide, PR101. This is a heavy color. It wants to be opaque. It's not opaque, but it wants to be opaque. So for me, it's a little heavy, but painted out, lighter like this in a wash, it's gorgeous. Yellow Ochre, PY43. And because it's the PY43 version, it's a little more transparent than PY42 yellow ochres. You have Burnt Sienna. Now, I should say that Da Vinci is known for its earth tones, and it's known for very high quality pigments. So what you have is, instead of using a PR101 or a PY42, which a lot of student grades use for their earth tones, they are using PBR7, which tends to mix more cleanly when you're mixing. So I like this. It's a pretty burnt sienna, but I really like the burnt sienna deep, and I'm going back on my word here because this is made with PR101, but it's such a pretty color and it glows and I love it. So I guess I would say that if I were doing a lot of mixing with my burnt sienna, I'd use just burnt sienna. And if I'm going to use it on its own, I would use the burnt sienna deep, because that just pops off the page. Burnt Umber, PBR7 again. Raw Umber, PBR7 again, so good high quality umbers there. And then Neutral Tint, PB15 and PV19, which is exactly what it says it is. It's just a nice neutral mixing color. So what I'd like to point out for you here is that there's absolutely no bleed through whatsoever on this Leuchtturm 1917 paper. I will put a link to this notebook in the description. This is A5 size. This one is ruled 6mm, but they also have dot grid, square grid, and blank. And so I paint on a lot of my Leuchtturm pages, and I'm able to write on the reverse side with no bleed through at all. Now, sometimes when you go with more of a student grade paint, you're more likely to have some dye involved, and that can tend toward bleeding through. But when you get these high quality professional grade watercolors, no bleeding. All right, so those are all the colors I have. Hope that gives you a little insight on some of the colors that are available. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to Da Vinci, because I bought some of these and they sent me some of these. So great combination. Thank you, Da Vinci. Happy to introduce them to everyone. And just thank you for being here. I really appreciate it, and I wish you well on your watercolor journey. Thanks. Bye-bye.